all tied up, and this first set is dead even.
Unbelievable combination.
Wow.
Beautifully done.
What a great spot.
Hello and welcome to the 2025-2026 APTA Tour. We are live from the Weston Golf Club in Weston, Massachusetts, bringing you the 2026 Boston Open APTA Grand Prix, with live streaming brought to you by the APTA membership and our tour presenting sponsor, Corient. Tournament support has also been provided by the following local tournament sponsors: Pure Hockey, your platinum sponsor; gold sponsors or Labor, Worcester Air Conditioning, Bully Boy Distilleries, Weston Golf Club, Scott. Our silver sponsors are Aon, Aureus Asset Management, Corient, Miller & Company, MGS Group, Surfside Vodka Drinks, Winstanley Enterprises, and bronze sponsors are Corcoran and Haviland Insurance Group, Narragansett Beer, and Xenon Paddle. I'm David Broderick, along with Russell Benkeim, bringing you the men's semifinal match between our number one seeds, Alvi Regalado and Jose Salazar, taking on the number 4 seeds, Tommy Gregurovic and Tin Ostojic. Our chair umpire for this match will be Rick Eady. Russell, welcome to the booth.
Thanks for having me, Dave. I think we're in for a good match. It's starting to warm up in Boston. We're up to about 13 degrees. That's it's like summertime paddle out there.
I think it is warmed up since our earlier match. However, the sun is starting to set, so we might be in for another chill. We just want to remind everyone that in the men's tour, matches are best 2 out of 3 sets with no ad scoring, with the server getting to choose, new this season. So Russell, what do you think about this matchup? What are we looking for?
Yeah, I think we're in for another good match. We, watched Regalado Salazar before. I think they maybe made 3 or 4 errors the entire match. So it's really going to be up to Gregurovic and Ostojic on how patient they're going to come out and be. We've seen them come out sometimes, be really disciplined, make really good decisions, and we've seen them other times not so much. So I think the match is really going to be determined by how they play. We know how Regalado and Salazar are going to play. Super solid, make a million balls, and put a lot of pressure on Gregurovic and Ostojic.
Would you say Gregurovic and Ostojic are 2 of the most talented guys out there? And I think maybe when they match up with Regalado Salazar, it hurts them a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. These guys have every shot, so talented. But again, like you said, Regalado Salazar, they can handle all of it. So it's a matter of Gregurovic or Ostojic being patient and disciplined enough to wait for the right ball and not overdo it.
And that's kind of what I meant in my question, where, obviously it's silly to say that, for as talented as they are, it might hurt them. But I think where it hurts them is potentially that they hit so many good shots, and there are times that they don't get what they expect out of them, that then they try to hit better shots, and then they make, a couple of mistakes there. So before we get started, we're taking a look there at Tommy Gregurovic in the black top and the gray cap. He looks like he'll be on the due side of the court. And there in the green vest is Tin Ostojic. He'll be playing the ad side of the court for the duo of Gregurovic and Ostojic, the number 4 seeds. Tommy G is the director of rackets at Oriana Beach Club in Mamaroneck, New York. And Tin Ostojic is the director of rackets at Stamford Yacht Club in Stamford, Connecticut. And there you have it again in the white vest. You have Jose Salazar, and his partner at the net with the gray beanie is Alvi Regalado. And here we go, point number 1.
$15 love.
All right, if I'm Gregurovic and Ostojic here at the start, I want to see them playing really long, slow points and just, especially with it being so cold out, really getting their feet into this match you know, making a statement early that they're going to be here for a long time.
Russell, and I think the importance of that is because we talk about it all the time. You can't just walk out on the paddle court and decide that you're going to be patient and play 500 ball rallies. You kind of have to work your way into it. And I think your point about playing slow points is
15,
like
30.
they can't play fast, they can't play really aggressive, and then at 2-all in the first set decide, okay, let's really grind it out and start playing long points. I think that starts right now with playing those long points to start and just building their way into the match as the match goes on.
Yeah, and early on, we've got 2 errors from Salazar. That might be as many as he hit in the previous match.
That's an impressive forehand down the line by
15, 40.
Tommy Gregurovic to bring us to 15-40 in the first game here, again, of our men's semifinal from the 2026 Boston Open. Smart shot there by Tim Ostojic going right at the body of
Gregorovich,
Jose Salazar.
Ostojic. Gregorovich, Ostojic. Lead first set, 1 game to love.
Again, you hear our chair umpire, Rick Eady, on the call, calling the score out. Here we see Tin Ostojic getting ready to serve.
Love 15.
Great pickup.
That's a great lob. A great get by Salazar, and then to lob it and have it land in the court.
In 12-degree weather, that is not
Yeah.
easy.
And Russell, these teams have played quite a bit throughout the year, with Regalado, Salazar getting the best of Gregurovic and Ostojic in their meetings.
Yeah, these 4 are definitely familiar with each other. Every time I look at draw, you know, it looks like they're playing each other at some point in stage. So hopefully, you know, Gregurovic, Ostojic looking for a little different result this time. But again, they're going to have to play super solid for that to happen today.
This is the third meeting that they're having against one another this year on the tour. They've met in the semifinals of the Chicago Charities. They met in the semifinals of the Baltimore Open, and now meeting in the semifinals of the Boston Open. And again, we want to just remind everyone that the tour is made up of 15 events, all live streamed throughout the season, including the Grand Prix. This is the first Grand Prix of 2026. The next 2 we have coming up are the Short Hills Invitational and the Midwesterns, which will be in Cincinnati, Ohio, and followed up by the National Championship for Men and Women in Summit, New Jersey at Canoe Country Club on March 6th to 8th. We saw that in the last match.
30 all.
Regalado putting his foot on the side screen, kind of climbing the wall, stealing a home run there.
Yeah, he likes to add his own little flair to things. So I watched in Pittsburgh, Gregurovic, Ostojic in the finals in the rain playing Salazar and Nunez, and there was a lot of this floating eye where Tommy G getting on top of the net, and Ostojic hitting almost all the
40,
overhead,
30.
applying a lot of pressure, and I'm interested to see if they add that in again today. They had a lot of success with it.
Deuce,
I'm not
game
sure if
point.
it was strictly because it was raining and snowing or if that's an actual strategy for them here today.
Game, Gregurovic, Ostojic. Gregurovic, Ostojic lead 2 games to love in the first set.
Here we see our first deuce point, misreturn a serve. Uncharacteristic mistake from Regalado. I'll tell you what, Russell, despite the score now, the score in a little while, the score going forward,
15.
I like the patience and pace of play coming out of the side of Gregurovic and Ostojic. If by chance Regalado Salazar can come back and win 3 games in a row and it's now 2-3, I still think Gregurovic and Ostojic, this is the pace and patience level I think they want to play. They've been making very good decisions. They continue to hit great shots.
Love 30.
And when I say great shots, they're hitting really solid shots with no risk involved. They're hitting high reward, no risk.
Yeah, they're taking all the right looks. I mean, and even if the look is, a 50-50 ball, they're waiting for an even better ball. You see that last point. Gregorovich waited for a ball that sat up a little bit, and he just teed off on that last forehand. I'm liking the patience they're bringing. It's exactly the start they want.
And again, we don't say it often. They are being helped out by some unforced errors by Regalado Salazar. So again, I don't think if you're Ostojic Gregurovic, you really need to press because you're getting a couple of unforced errors. Don't give away points to let them gain confidence or, kind of get their rhythm. And as we talked about in our earlier match with this cold weather, it's really going to be hard putting balls away from the net with spin because the ball is so cold. Oh,
Great move there.
I think, to say the least, that surprised Jose Salazar that Gregurovic was going to be there. That was a good decision, good move. Salazar looks to be okay.
Wow. Great spot on the drive there.
15-40.
Tommy being really aggressive. That's about the 4th point so far. He's blitzed in behind. Wow, and a great move up the side screen there. And that's a break there.
Gregurovic, Ostojic lead 3 games to 0 in the first set.
Okay, while we have a break here, we want to say thank you to Labor. Labor brings technology and business together. Sound advice, skillful delivery, and selective leadership search. Labor, people-powered, technology-enabled.
Yes, and a big thank you to all our sponsors for all the events throughout the year. Corian, our national sponsor all year long on the APTA Tour. With all their support, they allow the live stream and the tour to be as great and successful as it is. All right, Russell, a little bit of uncharted waters here for the first seeded team of Alvi Regalado and Jose Salazar. Down love 3 with Gregurovic and Ostojic serving. Again, just to remind everyone at the net on the left-hand side of your screen at the net, you have Tin Ostojic and his partner on the right side who just hit that overhead in the gray beanie is Tommy Gregurovic, and their opponents on the baseline top right of your screen in all black is Alvi Regalado, and his partner with the white vest is Jose Salazar.
Great cut off there. And watching Regalado Salazar, so many times we talk about what can their opponents do to stay in the match, and this is one of the first times where we've been the other way around. What do Regalado Salazar need to do to get back in this? And I don't think they have to change anything. They just got to make more balls in the court. I don't think they're taking bad looks or different looks than they'd normally take. They're just execution's not there yet. So they just need to clean things up and get back into this match here.
Yeah, I agree with you 100% because, like we mentioned it earlier on, for a new age team, they play as old school paddle as anybody, meaning they're very methodical, very patient. They pick and choose very wisely when to lob, when to drive. So yeah, to your point is I don't think they really need to change up their game plan or their focus. I think they just need to go and clean things up a little bit. And, on the other side of it is, if you're Gregurovic or Stojic, you got to keep playing this like it's love or 1-1 but you can't get ahead of yourself thinking you're up 3-love because, we saw a fault there. You don't want to give Regalado Salazar points. You don't want to give them freebies because, like I said, as this match goes on, they're going to get stingier and stingier, and they're not giving any points back.
Like you said at the beginning, for as many good overheads as they hit that point, all of them came back, and then they missed the simple push reset down the middle.
$30
Gregurovic got away with one there.
Great drives, awesome spots.
30-40.
Pretty impressive drive. Ostojic was all over the net on that one.
Yeah, you don't see that very often. Salazar.
All right, here's our second sudden death point.
Game. Gregurovic, Ostojic, Gregurovic, Ostojic lead 4 games of love in the first set.
All right, it's who would have thought? Who would have thought starting out this match it would be love 4, Regalado Salazar behind. We've definitely seen not the Regalado Salazar that we're used to. They're making more than their fair share of unforced errors. But again, I don't think they're panicking. I don't think because they have the game where, they're going to play into it. They're going to continue to get better. They're going to continue to improve. Again, I think Gregurovic and Ostojic are playing very well. They're playing very smart. they're playing high reward, low risk.
Great transition here. Great backhands from Gregurovic, picking some great spots. And it's the game plan seems pretty clear when they're at the net. Get Tin hitting overheads, get Tommy on top of the net, cutting off volleys, and if Tommy gets an overhead, it's either straight ahead or a roller at Salazar's left hip. Another great backhand.
And Ostojic and Gregurovic on every shot seem to be at the right place at the right time. First few mistakes we've seen out of Gregurovic over there on the deuce side of the court, the bottom of your screen.
Great move. That's about the third time we've seen him sneak on that side screen and overhead off the waterfall.
And Russell, again, we said it earlier on, all four of these players are racket professionals. And Jose Salazar working out of the Stanwich Club. Alvi Regalado working out of the Short Hills Club. Tin Ostojic is the director of the Stanford Yacht Club. And Tommy Gregurovic is the director of rackets at Oriana Beach Club in Mamaroneck, New York. All right, 2 chances here for Salazar and Regalado to get on the board. Hey, Russell, I think when I've done quite a few matches of Gregurovic and Ostojic, and the one thing that really stands out about their growth and improvement is, again, they have all the talent in the world, maybe 2 of the most talented shot makers we have on the men's and women's tour. But I think the more that they've played in these big matches, big tournaments, I think that experience has really helped them out because, again, I think they came out and they were used to playing matches where their talent just overpowered teams. And, as you start playing the top 10, top 15 teams in the country, you need to combine that with consistency as well.
Yeah, you can't replicate that experience.
Gregurovic and Ostojic lead 4-1 in the first set.
All right, while we have another break here, we want to say thank you to Corient. Corient is the official wealth sponsor of the APTA's 2025-2026 season. Corient is a fee-only wealth manager who puts their clients at the center of everything they do. Learn more at corient.com. All right, so Regalado, Salazar on the board here. And yeah, definitely agree with everything you say. I mean, you really can't replicate, how much that experience of being in the big court, big match as you get deeper and deeper in the tournaments. And, as you see how consistently Gregurovic and Ostojic are making it deep, each tournament's getting better and closer. At this point, they've been to at least the semifinals 6, 7, 8 different times. So, they've been here before.
Yeah, no, I would have to say going back to last season when they first kind of came on the scene, they were staples in the quarterfinals. Most tournaments they played, they were quarterfinalists, getting there, playing really well, maybe running into a top seed. And you see this year, again, from their results, they're making it to the semifinals at least of almost every event that they're playing together. And we want to remind everyone that we're live from the Weston Golf Club in Weston, Massachusetts at the 2026 Boston Open. Earlier on, before our sponsorship Corian ad, you saw match statistics brought to you by Court Director. Court Director always usually gives us the right tail of the tape when it comes to match statistics and how they affect the results. Hey, would you say it's not often that we see it, but Gregurovic and Ostojic are really controlling the pace of this match. They're kind of dominating the tempo and play.
Yeah, and they're holding the net great. I mean, they are reading every drive. They're on top of the net. They're sticking with their backhand volley, and what was a defensive position, they're turning into an offensive position just by closing so well.
And to your point earlier, they're really sticking with the plan of letting Ostojic hit the overheads, and Gregurovic really hugging the net and getting right on top, taking away any drive opportunities that Regalado Salazar may have. Couple of games.
Doing a really good job of sticking with their game plan and not going stray. So let's see if Regalado Salazar can maybe take over the net a little bit more and try to take the match into their own hands here, like we see a lot of times. Wow.
What great hands.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. I think everybody out there watching should yell in celebration after that series of volleys by Gregurovic Ostojic.
Just amazing hands on all four players.
Those hand battles and the touch and the way they volley there reminds you a little bit about Jared Palmer.
He's got one of the best first volleys I've ever played against. So that's to be compared to Jared Palmer. That's pretty good.
Love 15.
One of the first quick points we've seen out of Ostojic Gregurovic in this set.
Great pressure again.
No, they're definitely using the drive blitz combination to their advantage and, kind of unsettling Regalado Salazar when they're up the net.
Yeah, it's forcing a few volley mistakes from Regalado Salazar that we really don't see very often, but there it is again. Just applying so much pressure coming in behind such good drives. Here they are dictating over at the net again. close.
What
Wow.
an amazing get.
Wow. They are playing fantastic.
15,
And again,
30.
you see on how the cold weather is really affecting the volley, how the ball is just, it's heavy and it's sticking to the paddle.
Every drive right now from Gregurovic and Ostojic. Big, powerful, big targets, but just not missing. Here we go, 15-30.
Gregurovic Ostojic 2 points away from taking this first set in the men's semifinal, or one of the men's semifinal matches here at the 2026 Boston Open. Coming to you live, I'm Dave Broderick, along with Russell Benkeim, coming to you live from the Weston Golf Club. I think Salazar just has to be a little bit careful with hitting so many balls across Tommy G's forehand. He's burnt them a couple of times with it.
Gregurovic just going for a little too much there. Didn't have to be that good.
30 all.
Again, they've done so well of picking the right target, right spot. That one just too much.
And you really see how in the last couple of points, Regalado, Salazar really slowing the play down to, just maybe get a little bit better feel for the ball, get a little bit more in sync together.
Yeah, even if they lose this set right here, if they can get this game, get one more game, and just get their feet into this match, it makes a big difference. But losing a set 6-3 versus losing a set 6-1, a little bit better rhythm as you start a second set. Yeah, those were the first, few points where you've seen
Regalado,
Gregurovic.
Salazar, Gregorovich, Ostojic lead 5 games to 2 in the first set. Guys, that's 7 games if you want to change the ball, but we just got to get it from inside, okay? I can't keep the format here.
Yeah, the first few points we've seen, Gregurovic, Ostojic just going for too much, and
Ball, just so you know, okay?
really important for them to stick with their game plan here.
Yeah, I was thinking about that just now as well, that, the first half of that game they played really well, and it was the second half that was probably
New ball, guys, new ball.
not the best game of the match that we've seen them play so far. A couple of maybe quick decisions, going for a little too much. Like I said, towards the end of that last game, they probably went for more shots that were high risk with very little reward, as opposed to the entire match they've so far been playing, high reward with little risk. And I think that's kind of what I think that's what they want to stick to, because we've been saying it all day long that Regalado, Salazar, they're going to just tighten things up, and they're going to take away, they're not going to give you free points. They're only getting more balls in play as this match goes on.
And again, we see a miss there from Salazar, and it's the right ball for him to take. They really, even there, they have to be careful with that last ball they just gave him.
And we know that Regalado Salazar can play the patient game. They're willing to stay out there and grind it out.
Great cat. Great close.
Yeah, it's good play.
Love the move. Amazing drive. Just a great close by Salazar. That was actually impressive that Ostojic got out of the way there.
Russell, how fast does Gregurovic pull the trigger on that backhand?
15-30.
Big time.
That wasn't a big swing, and he hit that one pretty good. Again, I think if you watch now, it's 5-2 Gregurovic Ostojic, but it's 15-30, and you're starting to see slowly Regalado Salazar creeping back in, point by point by point. And again, the only difference that we see here in this match is that Regalado Salazar is starting to make more balls and miss fewer balls.
Yeah, I mean, we said it earlier. They don't need to change anything. It's strictly an execution of cleaning up a couple loose errors that they don't typically make.
And by the way, if Regalado Salazar do not win or they lose this first set, I think that's still the same strategy. It's just we've got to hit more balls in play.
Exactly.
We made a couple of unforced errors at big points in the first deuce point we played early on. Alvi Regalado, he missed a return of serve. When was the last time he missed a return of serve?
Yeah, you don't really see him even drive the return of serve on a deuce point. You typically see him getting the point started to, make sure he gets into that point. All right, 30-40 here, another break point. 2 more break points.
Russell, we talked about Alvi Regalado being the director of rackets at the Short Hills Club. Want to say hello to all the Short Hills Club members that are watching in New Jersey, led by Quinn Solomon. I know she's out there watching, so we want to say hello to Quinn.
Hello, Quinn. Good to have you watching.
Russell, Quinn says hello.
Just made my day. Thanks, Dave. Thanks, Quinn. That hard overhead again. And again, I don't think that's a bad play.
Gregurovic and Ostojic lead 5-3 in the first set.
I'm just not sure when it's 5-2 and it's 30-40 that's the move to make.
Right. Again, it's high risk with low reward. Again, earlier on, Ostojic, Gregurovic were doing an amazing job of playing high reward, no risk, and now they're starting to put a little bit more risk into their game plan.
You know, if you come up with that play at 30 love, 40 love, different story. But again, you're seeing now we're starting to go for shots that in the first 6 games of this match wasn't even contemplating.
Also, I have to, we have to remember that if you're watching this match, Regalado, Salazar are warming up. You see they're starting to get hotter. They've went through, the rough seas, and now they've gotten through their early match mistakes. Really good return there by Tommy Gregurovic. But yeah, they're kind of steady in the ship. They're on course right here. They've just warmed up a little bit. You see less mistakes. You see more balls in play.
Great roller right into the nick.
Yeah, you throw a nick in there, and listen, we know how paddle works. And are you surprised that ball hit the nick and went shooting out?
Not at all.
No. At love 1, love 2, love 3, it wasn't going their way. But now all of a sudden at 30-15, 3-5, it's just amazing to see how that stuff happens in paddle matches.
Paddle is a crazy sport with momentum.
Russell, speaking of the Short Hills Club, we have also out there Derek Bowen.
Hello, Derek.
Longtime supporter of platform tennis.
And 2 great spots on that drive. Got Gregurovic to flip on 2 forehand volleys.
Salazar, Gregurovic, and Ostojic lead 5-4 in the first set.
And again, to what we talked about earlier on,
You want to have the lights turned on now?
he didn't really hit the ball that hard. He just hit it to a good spot, and he made Gregurovic flip his paddle. And again, from the baseline play, one of your goals is to get the net team to flip their paddle from a backhand to a forehand. You know that as a driver of the ball, that is an advantage for you.
Oh, great, thanks. I forgot they're right there.
All right, and just like that, Russell, it's 5-4.
Love 15.
You can see the energy shift too. Early on, Gregurovic, Ostojic, very vocal, very loud, very lot of energy, and Regalado, Salazar, very quiet. And as this match has gone on, it really shifted that energy.
Do you think in the most subtle way, because obviously I have my opinion on this, but do you think in the most subtle way, Gregurovic and Ostojic, their game plan and execution has changed a little bit?
I mean, again, especially, you got to take 2 things into account here. One, early on, they were dictating all over the net, and now we're seeing Regalado, Salazar taking over the net a little bit. But, it's less obvious of the strategy of Ostojic taking most of these overheads, Gregurovic getting on top of the net. But again, they've been at the net a lot less as Salazar and Regalado have started to make less errors.
And I also think that Gregurovic and Ostojic have thrown in a couple unforced errors that they weren't making earlier on. And I think that, again, is just a
great overhead there.
Is just being a factor of, again, I think early on they really were using the middle of the court to their advantage, where now I think they're going for a little bit too much than they have to. They're not staying on course with kind of what got them there.
In the last 4 or 5 games, how many drives wide or in the net have we seen Gregurovic or Ostojic miss? At least 5 or 6. In that first 6 games, there's maybe 1.
See a break point here for Regalado Salazar to get it back to all square at 5-all in the first set of the men's semifinal of the 2026 Boston Open.
Game. Regalado and Salazar. Tied at 5 games all in the first set.
All right, Russell, let's take a look at these in-progress court director match statistics. You know, points won, very close. Service points, everything. I mean, yeah, 5-all. It was, and you know what? Probably 3 games ago, that was a lopsided stat, or the stats would have been lopsided. But you know, here we are, the last couple games. Regalado Salazar really turning it on.
Amazing drives this point from Salazar and great hands from Gregurovic and Ostojic.
He was there. He read that. And you know what? As close as he was,
15 love.
Regalado still got the ball to a kind of an awkward spot.
Yeah. But again, that's more of what we were seeing those first 5-6 games is Gregurovic just, looking to cut off all these volleys and turn them into offensive volleys when, they're on the defensive. Not the best look there.
30 love.
So as I stated earlier that I thought Gregurovic and Ostojic were really controlling the tempo of play, I think that's changed. I think Regalado Salazar have now regained control of the tempo.
Great dig.
That's a good overhead there by Ostojic, catching Alvi Regalado, moving up the side screen there, looking to take advantage of a short overhead.
Yeah, perfect spot, perfect pace. They are really working that roller into the deuce side there.
Hey, Russell, I really enjoy seeing the patience here by Ostojic and Gregurovic in this big point here late in the first set of the match.
Yeah, this is exactly the type of point they need here. Just get a little bit of rhythm back. It's so easy once you're up 5-1 to, just throw away the rest of the set. If they came into this match and you told them, hey, you're going to get 5-all in the first set, they'd be pretty happy. But it's pretty hard to look at that way when you were up 5-1 against these guys and didn't put it away. I think the more they stay in points here, it's only going to help their rhythm get back. Big roller from Albi Regalado there.
Great get by Gregurovic.
I didn't see that. $40-15.
Right, so
I think Gregurovic thought it hit.
I couldn't see it hit him. $40-15.
I couldn't really tell.
I think this is too tough of an angle for us to be able to tell.
40-30.
If they said it hit his jacket, I wouldn't have been surprised, but it's kind of too far away for us to see and be able to tell. And the ball really didn't appear to change direction too much or at all.
I mean, it didn't look like on the camera that it hit him, but again, we're
Regalado and
6 feet
Salazar.
above the play.
Regalado and Salazar lead 6-5 in the first set.
All right, after being down 4-1, 5-2, 5-1, Regalado Salazar have the first lead. And again, we're starting to see the match statistics swing to show that, brought to you by Court Director.
Love 15.
Russell, you're really starting to see now the energy coming out of Regalado Salazar.
Yeah, you didn't see that in the beginning. Although it was 12 degrees out, so I get it. Great shot.
Love 30.
Salazar's made early on he made a couple of mistakes on the drop shot and the ball hitting the nick coming out, but towards the second half of this set, he's not only gotten to the shorter balls and the balls coming out of the nick, but he's doing something with it. There you go. Another one. And who would have thought? Triple match point. Set point for Regalado Salazar.
Wasn't expecting this 20 minutes ago. But again, you can never count out Regalado Salazar.
And again, I think a big part of saying that is that, again, whether they're winning or losing, a big part of Regalado Salazar's game is low risk, high reward.
15-40.
All right, one set point saved here by Ostojic and Gregurovic.
There it is, first set, Regalado Salazar.
Regalado and Salazar. Regalado and Salazar lead 1 set to love.
We'll be right back in just a moment after these messages right here on the APTA YouTube channel with live streaming by Joho and Streambox Labs and match statistics provided by Court Director.
At Corient, wealth management begins and ends with you. We believe the more personal the solution, the more powerful the result. We treat your goals as our own. We never lose focus on the life you want to build. And our experienced advisors design custom-built strategies to help you get there. It's time for a wealth management experience as sophisticated as you are. It's time for Corient.
Welcome back to the APTA Tour. I'm David Broderick here with Russell Benkeim at the Weston Golf Club in Weston, Massachusetts. This is the semifinal men's matchup between Tin Ostojic and Tommy Gregurovic, taking on the number 1 seeds, Alvi Regalado and Jose Salazar, with Regalado Salazar coming back from a 5-1 deficit to take the first set 7-5. And we see some court director statistics here. Russell, what do you make of these match statistics?
Well, about 20 minutes ago, it was very different. But like you said, everything is starting to shift in Regalado Salazar's direction. This is going to be a really important first game here. It's really easy to just completely implode after blowing a 5-1 lead in the first set. I think a couple times they were 2 points away, Gregurovic and Ostojic, from closing it out. And, any racket sport player has been there when you're so close to closing out a first set and you don't. It's so easy to go into that tank mode and just, have a 5-minute second set and get off the court and go home. But, these guys have been here
Salazar
many
serving, right?
times. They're going to have to dig deep here and really get into some long points and stay in this match. They got to show Regalado Salazar that they're still here to play. Wow. Barrage of drives.
And again, I think to your point, it's really important for Gregurovic and Ostojic to win this game, get off to a good start. Regalado Salazar are right now on a 6-game winning streak. They were down 1-5 and pulled that set out 7-5. Just for everyone out there watching, or if you're just tuning in and joining us, up at the top of your screen on the right-hand side in the white vest is Jose Salazar, and his partner at the net in all black with a white cap is Alvi Regalado, and in the ad side of the court about to return is Tin Ostojic, and his partner with the gray beanie, black hoodie is Tommy Gregurovic. Just to remind you that this is the semifinal round of the 2026 Boston Open, which is our first Grand Prix of the new year. We have a couple more Grand Prix coming up. February 7th and 8th, we'll be in Short Hills, New Jersey for the Short Hills Invitational. And on February 21st, 22nd, the Midwesterns in Cincinnati, Ohio.
2 great tournaments there. Looking forward to both of those.
Yeah, after the Midwesterns, Russell, we kind of finish up in Summit, New Jersey with the men's and women's nationals. March 6th to 8th, Canoebrook Country Club, Summit, New Jersey. That's the official end of the men's and women's tour, but it's not the end of paddle, as we have the team nationals right around the corner. They'll be played at 2 different dates. We have the men's team nationals in March 28th, 29th in New Jersey, and the women's team nationals will be contested on April 11th and 12th in Chicago. Remember, it's open to all PTI levels. Teams must be made up of 6 or more players, and everyone must have a minimum of 8 rated matches. And it's a whole lot of fun. So if you haven't put your team together, please do so. And don't ask Russell if he's available. He's already on my team.
I can tell you from firsthand experience, it is an extremely fun tournament, extremely well run. A lot of fun playing in a team format.
Russell, Team Nationals, one of the first years of it. That's when you kind of showed up on the scene.
Yeah, I was out there. I think I made it a goal to try to hit everybody with my rollers.
40-15.
That was a fun tournament. That was right here at Fiddler's Elbow.
It was.
Who else should we try to recruit for our team?
40-30.
We need enough guys that I'm the number 9 guy. I'm doing everything I can to recruit myself off the team.
That's a good strategy.
Ooh, I'm sitting right here. That kind of hurt.
Game, Regalado and Salazar. Regalado and Salazar lead 1 game to love in the second set. Regalado and Salazar won the first set, 7 games to 5.
All right, so Russell, we have 6 games in a row. Actually, 7 games in a row now for Regalado Salazar. What does Gregurovic and Ostojic? What do they need to do to slow this down, and can they slow it down?
That's the real question. Can they? I think it's all going to come down to their discipline. Whether they're willing to wait for the right balls here. Again, if you were here with us in the first 6 games, they played.
I saw it out.
You saw it out? Hey, but why do you look at?
I saw it. It was out.
He was even thinking there for 2 seconds. He's thinking even. He's even thinking. Ow! You saw that out too?
Yes, I did. It was.
Getting a little hot in the chair there for Rick Eddy, our chair umpire.
All right, I think it's starting to go a little too fast.
I missed that. I missed one, or off one. I'm gonna go one more with this one.
7-7, right? 7-5.
Yeah, that's right. Yep. Change ball. Yep.
Again, the faster these points start to go, the more that's going to start to favor Regalado Salazar.
We can switch the referee.
Dave, I would say Tommy G does not look too happy.
He doesn't. He doesn't look happy.
I think he's covering some angry faces with his clothes right there. Great volley from Salazar.
15 love.
All right, 6-point streak.
I think right now, I mean, this is not easy to play if you're Regalado Salazar. I think they just have to stay within themselves. Don't give any points. Don't try to change the momentum. Don't give them any opportunities to kind of get their momentum back.
Game, Regalado and Salazar.
That was interesting.
Regalado and Salazar lead 3 games of love in the second set.
There's some interesting
Regalado and Salazar won the first set 7.
I'll tell you what, with the Olympics right around the corner, I think he would have gotten a 10 for style points. I like that overhead over the shoulder. I like the creativity.
A lot of creativity points. You're right. The little twirl.
Style points, that was a 10. style points, but
We add like a fourth column to the scoreboard for style points. They might be winning.
I'm sure Tommy G's not interested in my style points right now. And creativity. All right, let's see if they can have a good game here and kind of get it together a little bit, bring it back to the level that they were playing at earlier on.
Love 15.
There in the top left of the screen, thanks to court director, we can see that's 10 straight points from make that 11 straight points for Regalado
Love
Salazar.
30.
That's hard to do. At any level, that's hard. Great defense.
You just see how confident
Love 40.
Regalado Salazar are playing here.
But again, we compare the energy from Gregurovic and Ostojic in the first 6 games, and we compare it to
Game,
right
Regalado
now.
and Salazar. Regalado and Salazar lead 4 games of love in the second set.
It's like 2 different people.
15 love.
Right, Dave, how high can this point streak go?
I think it's going to stop right here.
I think you might be right. Great drive, great get.
Oh my God. What a get by Jose Salazar.
And I'll tell you, on a summer day in 70-degree weather, that's a hard ball to get. In a wintry day in 10-degree weather, that ball doesn't come out off of the screens at all.
30 love.
Amazing get.
Tell you, Jose Salazar's play while moving forward towards the net
40 love.
has been very impressive in this match.
Been amazing. He's punished every time he's coming forward.
You'll look away.
Is that more style points? Woo!
Game, Regalado and Salazar. Regalado and Salazar lead 5 games of love in the second set. Regalado and Salazar won the first set 7 games to 5.
Okay, while we have a moment, we want to thank Surfside Vodka Drinks. Surfside iced tea and lemonade with vodka. Light, refreshing, 100 calories, no bubbles. Pairs perfectly with the day on the paddleboard. Must be 21. Please drink responsibly.
Russell, if it was a nice 90-degree day, I might be able to go for a nice Surfside, but right now I'm sticking to hot cocoa and coffee.
And there's the 17-point streak ended.
15
Russell,
love.
Listen to that crowd in Boston. Doesn't matter how cold it is.
was that the first point of the set?
Oh, it has to be. It can't be.
I saw it. 30 love.
Good Tommy G pleading to the chair umpire.
Thirty 15.
that 11 games in a row so
40-15.
far from 5-1?
Yeah. See how hard Salazar's still playing?
$40-30.
A great drive there from Salazar.
Game, Gregurovic, Ostojic, Regalado, and Salazar lead 5 games to 1 in the second set.
Russell, will this be deja vu?
It could be.
Will Gregurovic, Ostojic come back and turn the tables on Regalado Salazar and do to them what they did in the first set, coming back from 1-5 down?
Yeah, we could see an 11-game turnaround. Great hands again from Gregurovic. That's what he was doing so well in the beginning of this match. Drive and blitz.
Love 15.
His aggression at the net was part of the reason they were up.
15 all. $15-30.
Oh! Little touch there
15-40.
displayed by Tommy G.
He is racking up Dave Broderick style points.
Game, Gregurovic, Ostojic, Regalado, and Salazar lead 5 games to 2 in the second set. Regalado and Salazar won the first set 7 games to 5.
All right, they're still in this, Dave.
No, absolutely. Until you shake hands, you're still in it. We've seen crazier things happen, Russell. Do you feel a little bit of a letdown there from Regalado Salazar?
Yeah, you know, it's hard when you're on the other side and you look over and, you know, I don't want to say your opponents are tanking, but, you know, they're not, they're ready to be done. And so it is hard to keep your focus and the same intensity as you've been given the last set and a half.
When they're not giving the same effort as they did in the first set. But as great of a team as Regalado Salazar are, I think they're going to ultimately find a way to pull out one more game.
Great to see this energy from Gregurovic and Ostojic.
15 love.
What hands there by Gregurovic. Again, just displaying his racket skills and great shot making.
30 love.
They return there for Salazar.
30-15.
Also, we want to remind everyone out there that today's day of live stream paddle is far from over, as we still have to come. Tonight is the women's final, which will be starting, I believe, the conclusion or shortly thereafter this match. And then following the women's final, we'll finish the day and the 2026 Boston Open with the men's final. That will not start before 6 p.m.
A great drive again.
Again, as he's moving forward, he's really moving forward well and hitting well-placed shots.
30 all.
Yeah, you know, we saw him miss maybe 2 of those in the beginning of the match, and since then, it's been
Pretty rock solid.
yeah. All right, 2 points away from the match here. Great hands.
I love that drive by Salazar right down the middle. I love the discipline of Tommy G over there on the right, not to, or Tin, not to flip his paddle and hit a forehand volley.
30,
What else
40.
did you love about that?
All right, we have match point number 1 here.
And there we have it.
Game,
Regalado
set, match,
Salazar.
Regalado Salazar.
All right, Russell, let's take a quick look at the match stats brought to you by Court Director. We see a good moment there between Albi Regalado and Tommy Gregurovic. All right, 2 to love, 13 games to 7. Again, you know, it kind of, the second set kind of padded the statistics for Regalado Salazar. Gregurovic and Ostojic were there. They had the first set. They had a lot of opportunities. I thought they played an excellent first set. You know, even kind of when the match started slipping away from them, they still played well. They were still playing well. They were still into it. But, you know, when Regalado Salazar came back and won 6 straight games, I think it took all the proverbial wind out of their sails.
Yeah, you saw how disciplined they played in the first, you know, half of the set. You know, they had the game plan, they stuck with it. And you know, Regalado Salazar, they cleaned it up, made way less errors, and you know, did what they were supposed to do.
All right, well, Russell, thank you. That was a great match. Enjoyed doing that match with you. That's a wrap for this men's semifinal round of the 2026 Boston Open. Stay tuned as the women's final will be coming up shortly.
A lot of founders start out with an idea, maybe in a garage, in a shared workspace, and really being a co-pilot along that whole journey from ideation to execution to maybe monetization one day is really the role we've decided to take in the marketplace. So I feel like we have really found a part of the market and offering that just really hasn't existed. It's this coaching, it's therapy, it's co-piloting on a journey that is unique.
Hey, this is Guillermo Núñez, and this is the tip of the week. In the push overhead, I like to create some offense by sometimes, depending on who I'm playing against, I hit the ball down into the service box, letting them bite a little bit, understanding that they could drive, and I'm gonna close the net as they're driving, knowing where the opening is, depending if I wanna speed the game up. When I decide to hit the ball down into the service box, I'm baiting my opponent to drive the ball. So I'm planning that. If I don't want that to happen, then I'm gonna reset straight deeper into the middle and nothing happens. I'm Guillermo Núñez. I hope you enjoy the tip and see you on the court.